Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another podcast episode on how white feminism language betrays women of color. In the last episode, I mainly introduced myself and introduced the topic, but today I want to talk about the first very perfect example of white feminism language. Now, this research that I will show you in a few minutes, I found it actually through a book written by Ruby Hamad, and she basically throughout her book gives perfect examples of white feminism betrayal towards the Black African American community, the Latino community, mainly the community of color. And well, in this example that I will show you, she describes Melissa mainly as a how she puts herself in an emotional state when being, and I quote, judge, because this is the main word that we're gonna focus on here when I show you the video in a few minutes. How she starts crying, how she starts saying, I know what's in my heart, and I quoted it. This just in the video I will show you guys, you will understand what I'm trying to say, but this language that she starts using when being basically, I guess, not attacked in a way, but she was defending Donald Trump on a tragedy that he said some mean things about some African American Black Lives Matter protesters, and she just starts defending him. So immediately in this, I guess it's a Fox News. So in this news, like people start like, wait, why are you defending him? Not why, but like making her like feel bad about her decision. And I mean, she should feel bad. He's Donald Trump is very racist. She's definitely was defending a racist man. So when she starts feeling attacked and judged, she starts crying. So this is a perfect example of how white feminism betrays women of color, because right there in that exact same interview and news, a woman, and which her name is Faulkner, if I'm saying it right. She's a black woman. She calmly steps in with a trace of emotion, and in her voice, she's basically starts like not saving her, but like being very calm, not crying, very strong about her words. And when this is outside of the set, the white woman, which her name is Melissa, she's seeing as like the people start like, oh, it's okay, don't worry, you're not racist, blah 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 blah. And in the other side, Faulkner, the black woman, she's seen as if like, oh, she was super mean, this and that. And well, I will now shut up and show you guys what I'm trying to say, and I will further explain this.
Weapon, it had a part in the violence.
No, if you're a patriot and you show up to stand up for American values and say that it is wrong to be racist,
That's
and to stand outside a synagogue with automatic machine guns and scare the Jewish people inside, I think that is not to be equivocal.
We're talking about something totally different. No one said equivocal. No one said equal, and that's one of the places where this went off the rails. He never said equal blame.
He said there were very good people among the neo-Nazi protesters. He did. Don't roll your eyes. He did say those words.
He didn't say there were very good people among neo-Nazi protesters.
He said there were very good people on the other side.
There are people that were opposed.
It was clear what he was talking about.
Look, can I tell you this? I am so uncomfortable having this conversation. And that's what this woman said before this, because I know what's in my heart, and I know that I don't think anyone is different, better, or worse based on the color of their skin, but I feel like there is nothing any of us can say right now without being judged.
You know, Melissa, there have been a lot of tears on our network and across the country and around the world. We have people who are serving, as my father did. He came to visit. We took him to the Statue of Liberty for the first time in his life yesterday. We cried together. It's a difficult place where we are, but it's not where we've been, it's where we are. This is not 1950. We can do this. We can have this conversation. Oh, yes, we can. And it's okay if we cry having it.
So here in this video, we can see the change in tone, the language that Melissa Francis was using, the words she used to protect herself from being basically called, well, basically like being portrayed as a racist person. So, in the Fox News host, Melissa Francis, a white female reporter, tries to defend Donald Trump after he criticized the death of African American protesters. This tragedy occurred in Charlottesville town in 2017, when a white supremacist man dropped his truck towards the protesters. In this clip, we can see how the word judge left her lips and then the tears started. This emotional teary shield a white racist woman uses to get out of a race discrimination conversation in the media provokes placatory responses from the audience. In this clip, once again, we can admire how reporter Faulkner, a black woman, had to calmly step in, show no emotion, and firmly speak about the situation. So this is what I mean, like the language that many, like even today, and I will explain my personal experience, like even till today, like white women who are clearly being racist. And I'm not saying, oh, this is something I will further explain. Not all white women. There's a lot of great women who support the women of color, but some who mainly it just happens to be, well, at that time, Donald Trump supporters who defended him are mainly seen as a racist as well. Because why? Because simply the fact that you're defending a racist man just gives me to understand that you are also that way, and the language that you use to defend him just gives me to understand that you think that's the right way to speak about this, in this case, African American protesters who were peacefully protesting, and who this man was defending a white supremacist, and she was clearly defending him as well. And well, as we can see, reporter Faulkner, she steps in, she says the words that she says, we can have this conversation that it's not 1950. Her statement right there is very powerful. It's basically, to me, it's basically saying like, it's okay we cry, yes, it's okay, because slavery and racism back in the day, like she said, in the 1950s, well, 1950s was mainly racial segregation, and back then was mainly slavery, but still it was very common, and it is very common to this day. It's a very, I guess, touchy topic. A lot of people feel bad, a lot of people cry. But in this example, like she just starts to cry to protect herself from being, and I quote, judged, from being attacked, from being called a racist, which I highly believe she was being, by simply defending Donald Trump. And back in this book, it also, like, the, I guess, this Ruby Hama, she was like close to the reporter, because later on in this book she explains how she was able to get into contact, and after this news was over in the studio, like everyone, just like I mentioned before, the one woman is saying like, oh, it's okay, do not cry, you're doing right, you're right. And the black woman was seen as, oh, she was so mean. Why? Because she was firm, she was strict, she was showing no emotion. And this is the betrayal. This is what I mean, that the language of African American women use to betray each other based on their skin color. And once again, here's a little script that I wrote of my own interpretation and my reflection. I mentioned it again, but basically, to me, the reaction Francis had when being questioned by the other reporters was an exaggeration. The language she starts using by saying that nowadays she can't say anything without being judged betrays the people of color and the woman that we're there defending the dignity and respect people of color should get from this country. And honestly, it is very sad to receive this language from other women. I believe when it comes to basic human rights and feminism, all women should unite and be there for all, not just for themselves. And lastly, to wrap this episode up, I will share a little bit of me. So how I was betrayed. I'm not going to read off of here. If you would like to read off of here, it is very, like, I guess, more detail. But basically, when I was little, I lived in Mexico. So I came like in when I was about, what, 10 years old, maybe 8 years old. I do not remember. All I know is that I came here to United States not knowing a single word of English. As you can hear me, I still have this very thick accent. I'm not very fluent in English, but I'm trying. So I came to United States knowing the math from Mexico. In Mexico, it is statistically proven that Mexico is more advanced in mathematics. Well, I guess as we was younger. So I came here knowing all the times table, knowing how to add, knowing how to subtract, knowing how to divide, knowing a lot of things that when I came here, kids here were barely learning it. So I was advanced from others. I eventually, like, everyone caught up, and I'm normal. Right now I suck at math. But that's not the point. There was this competition, girls against boys on the times table. And I was the only one that didn't know any English. But my teacher, she was such a great teacher. She helped me out a lot. And I knew all the girls mainly. Like, most of them were my friends. Other girls were from other classes. And there was this one girl called, let's call her Lexi. She was a white girl. And I could tell, like, she didn't like me just because I didn't know how to pronounce. Back to what I was saying. Sorry, guys. It got cut off. But yes, Lexi. She didn't like me, and when we started the competition, I would help other girls. I always wanted to, like, get involved with the girls, like, work as a team, not like as individuals. And it will basically, we had to work as a team. It was girls against boys. It was like a girls team, boys team. And she would never want to participate when it came to the finals, I guess. I believe it was, yeah, yes, when it came to the finals, she actually went through my backpack, got the notebook that I used to, like, write all my notes, and threw it to a trash can. Was I able to find it? I still won, but that's not the point. Like, bullying, like, the girl drama is not the point. The point here is that feminism, to me, at a young age, was staying united, helping each other out, no matter what our skin color is, what our accent is, where our background is. And she was, at that time, I was introduced to from white betrayal, from white feminism to me, and I felt horrible in that moment. I believed all of the things she felt. I felt horrible for years. Later on, I reflect on it and I realized she was wrong. She was just being mean, and I believe in my heart that now she's a different person. And I don't think she believes this because I remember her. She was very, like, very smart. She always wanted to compete with boys. She always wanted to prove that girls, I guess, in school are better. And in our own little world, in our own little innocence, to us, that was feminism. Did we know about a lot of discrimination towards women? Did we know about sexism? Did we know about how women were in other households are being treated, how women are being beaten, raped in other countries just because they're women? No, we didn't. We were innocent. This was feminism to us, and this is how I was introduced to it and how I was betrayed at that time. But yes, I just wanted to give a little background of myself. I am Latina. I was betrayed, and this is just one example out of many that I have. And well, thank you guys for hearing me out. This is the end of today's episode. It's just one example and one resource that I use to try and communicate and make awareness of this topic. And I have a lot of more examples. I have a lot of other interviews that are made really interesting. I will show you guys on the next episode. Stay tuned and thank you.